And finally, Dave, just 2 weeks ago, this very day, on the 3rd of June, we saw the biggest coordinated strike action in this country for decades, really, when the teachers, lecturers and civil servants taking action to defend the attacks on their pensions. Just here, where we're having this interview, we saw a rally of over 400 strikers before they made their way over to the regional demo in Birmingham, over 5,000. On the same day, we also saw the disgraceful comments by Ed Miliband, who condemned the strike action. But really, Dave, what was your opinion and the opinion of the Socialist Party of the day, and where do you think the movement should be going, both industrially and politically, in the coming months, in the next 12 months?
Well, this again is a prime example of how the establishment parties are accepting that the bankers, having created the crisis, should be protected from the consequences of what they created, and instead ordinary people should be made to pay. Public sector workers in general are facing a 2-year wage freeze at a time when inflation is some 5 or 5.5%. So there's a 10% cut in wages. A third year when wage rises will be limited to 1% and inflation stays the same over 3 years. That's a 15% cut. That's the biggest cut in any group of workers' wages for almost 100 years in this country, since the early part of the 20th century. Added to that, the deferred wages, the wages that workers save up so that can be paid as pensions in their older ages, under attack in a number of ways. The government want public sector workers to pay more into their pension schemes. They will get less when they do retire. And the way in which their pensions will be indexed to cope with inflation will be changed so that they lose substantially tens, and in some cases of younger workers, hundreds of thousands of pounds at the end of their working life when they move on to retirement. And therefore, in this first wave of industrial action, which involved teachers, civil servants, lecturers, some 700,000 who were on strike on the 30th of June, the reality of being made to pay thousands upon thousands of pounds for the bankers' gambling came home to people, and they came out to strike and to demonstrate. And regretfully, the night before that took place, not only did you have, as we would expect, the leader of the Tory party criticising workers taking industrial action, but disgracefully, we had the leader of the Labour Party saying people shouldn't stand up for themselves and go on and strike. Well, I was speaking at the rallies here, and I know when it was happening elsewhere in the region and the country, probably the biggest anger of the march was how people felt let down by the party that in some cases people pay lots of union money into to be affiliated to, was letting them down in that way. Now, we had a good turnout on the day. We had, I think on the regional basis, we had about 80 and 90 picket lines in the West Midlands. Several schools that had never taken picket lines ever before. Quite a lot of young teachers who have never taken any industrial action ever before were involved in that day's strike. And I don't think it's a coincidence that the leader of the Teachers' Union in Coventry and the leader of the Civil Service Union at DWP are both active members of the Socialist Party. They were able to instill confidence in people that it was worth taking the action, but only as a first step, only as preparation, because the government clearly hasn't changed its direction by that one day of action. What we have to do now, what we'll be spending the next few weeks as activists locally doing, is building up for the autumn to bring the heavier battalions of Unison, Unite, the GMB, the CWU, the other 4 and more big public sector trade unions, whose total membership alongside those who've already taken industrial action is some 4 million workers, and trying to get the TUC to set a date when all those workers will take action on the same day to try and push this government off course. And one of the ways in which we're doing that is that we're hoping to have a lobby and a march to the TUC conference in London on September the 11th and take a large number of people down from the Coventry. If you want to come down, we've got buses going down. You'd be welcome to join us, to persuade the delegates at that TUC conference that they must now set the date at which the next stage of action against the Tory government will take place. A one-day strike, a 24-hour general strike of public sector workers as the next step of escalating industrial action in this country to force the Tory government off course and give working people the confidence that this isn't their problem. They shouldn't be paying for the crisis of the bankers. It's the bankers that caused it, and they're the ones that should pay.
Well, thanks, Dave, for giving us that news and insight and perspective into the events affecting people in the city and nationally. But we'd like to also, that's just a few issues that we're really covering today. If you've got an issue that you'd like the Socialist Party's view on, perspective on, please get in touch with the details that will come upon your screen in a couple of seconds. But as Dave's talked about what we're doing, but if you agree with what Dave says, what the Socialist Party stands for, is fighting for, please think about joining us in the struggle against the cuts, the struggle ultimately to change society, the struggle for socialism. Please think about joining the Socialist Party. Contact us on the details on your screen in a few seconds and help us in that fight.